Hey guys, we're back to Deuteronomy today, and one of the things that I wanted to share with you was in chapter 7. Something in particular that just kind of stood out and really rung out in my ears. Um, to start off with, I know immediately right off the get-go, the first thing people are going to scream is Calvinism. But you need to understand that Calvin wasn't a Calvinist. Okay, this is not a doctrine that Calvin came up with. It's not even the 5 points of Calvinism. TULIP is not an acronym that Calvin came up with. Uh, Calvin, did all this, or all of this was kind of annotized in I think, the Diet of Worms, which the meeting was in Dutch, so it wouldn't be an English acronym anyway. What Calvin did was he basically pulled out the scripture and just took it like it said, and when it said that God elected, then he said God elected. And it wasn't just Calvin that did this. If you go and you read Luther and you read, just numerous people before them, Clement, they all held to this doctrine that God elects. The question by which he elects, you can debate. Did he elect you because he knew you would accept, or did he elect you because that's his sovereign right to do so? And you can debate about that all you want. I mean, that argument has been going on since Pelagius, back in, I think it's like the 5th or 6th century. So the point being is, I don't want you to get immediately off track and start screaming Calvinism, and just look at the verse for yourself, read it like it says, and it says what it says. That's what verse by verse is all about. So in chapter 7, verse 7, God is talking, or in verse 6, you back up a little bit, he's telling the Israelites that you're a holy people, and then in verse 7, he tells them the reason why he selected them. So if we just back up to 6, it says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So of all the people on the face of the earth, God chose the Israelites. And he tells them in verse 7 why. He said, "The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor chose you, because you were more in number than any other people, for ye were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out of the mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt." So he tells them right here in verse 7 and 8, he tells them he didn't choose you because you were great. He didn't choose you because of anything that you did. He tells them in verse 8, the reason that he chose you is because he loved you. That's it. And then he stuck with you because he swore an oath. So in that one passage, just that one verse there, verse 8, it really stands out, both the mercy and the grace of God, but also his faithfulness. And he goes on to say this in verse 9. He says, "Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations." So he tells them right there, God is faithful. He can be trusted. When he says that he will save, he will. When he says that he will complete the work that he started in you, he will. And this is something that really just kind of hit me today, because sometimes these are things that I struggle with. But we just need to keep in mind that that God is faithful, and that God is loving, and that he chose you out because he loves you, and that he has more of an interest in seeing you completed, and conform to the image of his son than even we do. So something to keep in mind. I thought I wanted to share that with you guys. All right, God bless.